This month is all about online collaboration. So you're going to learn about two tools, Google Sites and KidBlog. Google Sites allows you to create a website, and you can create it by yourself or with a group of people. KidBlog allows you to create a classroom blogging platform where you, the teacher, have a lot of controls. You can choose to have as little or as much control as you would like. Now, this video is not going to go over how to use both of these tools, but this video is going to talk about online collaboration and how people are using these tools. So it might spark some interest in you for how you could use these tools in the classroom. So what is online collaboration? It basically is where you can collaborate with different people doing a variety of things online, like designing websites or making classroom blogs or on editing documents. You all probably are familiar with the Google Apps for Education that you have, and with that you all have access to the Google Drive, which allows you to collaborate on documents and spreadsheets. That is the type of thing we're thinking about when it comes to online collaboration. You can collaborate as much or as little with all of these things. So we're going to talk about these different tools that allow you to do that. And one nice thing about online collaboration, as opposed to collaborating in groups in person, is that with online collaboration, you can collaborate across rooms, buildings, states, or even countries. We have many stories of different teachers who've done collaboration online in things like Google Docs, and they've talked about how it really can help with classroom management. We had one teacher said there were two rowdy students who were partners, and they were just really loud, weren't getting a lot of things done, joking around, but he had them sit on opposite sides of the room then, and they could both go into the Google Doc they were working on, and then it worked great, and they got their homework done, and everything went much more smooth after he kind of separated them. And that's the beauty with some of these online tools, is that you can separate people then. You could have students working from different buildings if you wanted to on different projects. So it all depends upon the type of collaboration you're doing, but these tools allow it to be where you don't have to be in the exact same room at the exact same time in order to collaborate. And that can be really helpful when it comes to schools. Now, like I mentioned, online collaboration, why in education is that you can collaborate with people from anywhere, but you do have to have the internet and an internet connected device. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, is with online collaboration comes the online internet part. However, there are so many tools, and the tools we're going to show you, that can be used pretty easy because you don't have to download new software. With KidBlog, there's no new software to download. You're just going to the KidBlog website. You know, in the past, you had to make sure everybody had the same software in order to collaborate on certain documents, but now with all these online tools, it can be more seamless in that way. Another thing that we see with online collaboration in schools is that teachers can be included in the collaboration process, not just the end result. You know, you can have a teacher added to a Google site as a student's creating it, and the teacher can look at it while it's being created and potentially help the student along the way. The same goes for things like Google Docs or things like blogging. Teachers can be included in the middle of the process, not just the end. And then also when it comes to the process, it's kind of collaborative learning for these students, particularly if you are having groups of students make a website in Google Sites. Or if all of you are blogging in the KidBlog platform, you make a classroom in KidBlog and everyone has their own blog within that classroom, and only the classroom can see it. If you want, you can make it allowed to be seen by anyone, but the beauty of it is that you can just have people in the classroom see it. And so you can ask students to blog about certain things and they can all see each other's work. So it's not just learning between teacher and student anymore. This is learning from student to student and student to teacher. Another thing is then group work in the online environment, which I already talked about as well. But you can have that group work feeling in the online environment. You can even all start editing a document at the same time. So it's a really nice way to try to do some of this collaboration that you might not have been able to do in the past, because you might have had to have everyone have the same computer, the same software, be in the same room at the same time. And here with online collaboration, it's getting a little bit better in that way. Everyone does have to have the internet connected device, but you can be anywhere in order to help and try to collaborate with others. Now this is the top part of an infographic talking about Education 2.0 and using social network in education, or social networking in education. And I have the link there, but again, this is linked in the wiki underneath November. But what this shows, the top of this infographic, it shows that 96% of students who have internet access say that they use social networking, and they use it for chatting, texting, blogging. But 30% of those students actually have their own blog where they write posts at least weekly, and 59% of those students say that they also use social networking for education-related topics. That's kind of huge. That's almost 60%, and I will say this was taken last year, so these percentages potentially could be higher. But just know that students are on social networking sites and they are talking about education-related topics, a lot of it about schoolwork. So that's something to keep in mind when you think about these tools, or when you talk to students about these tools too, that they can be more for education instead of just being a social platform. And schools really are embracing that. This is also from the same infographic. This was towards the bottom of it. And it talked about how schools are encouraging social networking in the classroom and kind of what schools are doing in the classroom. 69% have student website programs where on some level they're having students create websites. Let's see, 59% say that their staff members participate in social networking for educational purposes. And it doesn't clearly state if the staff members are connecting with students or with each other, but it can be both or either or. You can also, instead of connecting with students this way, it could also be a great way for teachers to connect. It says 46% of students have participated in online pen pal or international programs. And I remember doing that when I was a young kid, and now with the online, it's so much easier to try to get online pen pals from different countries too. So these were just some percentages of the different things that schools were doing to encourage using social networking for educational purposes. And the quote on the bottom is from a study done by the Young Adult Library Services Association, and it says social networking tools give teens meaningful ways to use and improve reading and writing skills. And we often kind of see some of the negative when we see this presented in the media. You know, they talk about how text speech, that teachers are seeing some of that in reports and things like that. But overall, though, teachers are actually seeing kind of improved reading and writing skills for students who are actively engaged in a lot of social networking online. So that is one thing to keep in mind too. If we engage them in social networking, and if we talk to them about how it can be valuable to their education, it may help them further on. So it isn't something to be a throwaway. This is a place that we can try to engage them. So to try to engage them, we're going to show you how to use Google Sites. And that's a way to create different websites for the classroom or for you teachers to collaborate with each other. But here are just some examples of different ways that teachers and students have used websites in the classroom. So you can create presentations online. You can have all the content online, then come up and do your presentation and show everyone on the screen the different content you have created. Teachers can make classroom websites that have everything on it, from calendars to homework assignments to a blog for parents. There can be a lot on a classroom website, and I think a lot of you have classroom websites already. You can make virtual field trips on a website. You could do web quests. I know a lot of people have told me in the past about doing web quests in the classroom. You could make a classroom encyclopedia, and instead of just you, the teacher, doing it, have students add to the classroom encyclopedia, which basically kind of, or a classroom glossary, which kind of goes over the terms that you're using each semester in the classroom. So you could have students contribute to that as well. Student portfolios, you could have literature circles, lesson plans, assignments. There's so many things you can do by putting it online. And then there's different ways you can encourage students to collaborate with you when it comes to that. And then for those of you working with younger students, that they may not be able to do a lot of content creation in some of these online tools, but you could do fun things like sharing student achievements on a wiki, on a website, on a blog, and that could be an interesting way to share something like that with parents. So there's a lot of interesting things that people are doing. What I want you to do is just kind of think about the different types of things that you have for your assignments. Do you have an easy way to access your assignments outside of the classroom? Do you have an easy way for parents to be able to see them? What about student portfolios? Is it a lot of paperwork that you're having students put together? And could that be helped by having different websites where they each have their own website with their portfolio information? So think about all the different assignments that you do, all the different things you do within the classroom, and is there a way to have it online so it's more accessible to students at any time and also maybe to their parents? So here are some examples of different Google sites that people have created. I just found these examples by searching online, and I do have some links in the wiki underneath November that link out to pages that have large collections of Google Sites examples. So if you want more examples, check out some of the links that I have in the wiki. So this is a website for a teacher who teaches students who have autism and Asperger's, and so she has a lot of information online so that all the homework that they've done, different resources that they can use, is all online. And there is even a parent blog that's full of information and resources too. So instead of having all of this kind of within her classroom, that she has all these tools she can use, she puts it out on this website so it's kind of clear for everyone to see all the different tools that can be used and different homework assignments that are going to happen, a class schedule, everything like that. So it's kind of just a neat, simple way to have this available that anybody can go look at to see what is happening in this classroom. Here's an example from a local school, Edina Public Schools. They do a lot with Google Apps. This is just a student's 4th grade portfolio. So I mentioned portfolios before. This is nice that this website can remain now. This student can have this from years to come. And so different things she's done in 4th grade for social studies, reading and writing, and other things are available then online. So you could click on each one of those sections to see the different things she had done. So it's kind of nice having a little portfolio all in one spot like this, and that it's something that unless you lose the link and don't remember at all how to get back to here, you won't be able to lose this as easily as maybe you would a handful of papers. And as you know, you shouldn't be, if you create the Google site with your student login information, that as long as you know how to log back into Google Drive, this should be there. So this is not something that should be lost easily. Here's another student who used this as a presentation tool. So here's a website about a poet. So this person has all the information. There's a kind of a home page that talks about what this website is, and then all the links on the side go to all the different information that's going to be used in the presentation. Here is a web quest. So I know I mentioned web quest before. So here's a web quest on the which body system is the most vital for survival. And I like that they did a play on the TV show Survivor here and instead called it Survivor MD and Long Island, because this was then at a school in New York. So I thought this was a cute idea, the theme, but then also this is nice and online, so it's a nice way to get students to see all the information that they're going to do in the web quest. And then here, this is actually a school's homepage that was created in Google Sites. So you can see you can have a lot more information on a Google Sites page. So they have a calendar, they have all the information on the left-hand side, they have images. So you can make something very basic that just has a lot of links and text, or you can include a lot of information like this. And I actually made a couple of Google Sites for you all. People are always asking about different apps to use, so I put together a Mili and a Mili Junior iPad apps page. So I linked both of these under November, so you can look at Mili or Mili Junior if you'd like. There are a lot of similar apps between the two, although not all. With Mili Junior, there's a lot more focusing on younger kids than there is for Mili, obviously. But this is just a very simple one that I made, that you just click on the subject area, and then I just have a list of some apps. There's at least 5 to 8 apps, probably about 8 apps under each one of them, but some of them have more, almost up to 15 or so. So it's not a huge list of apps, but if you're looking for some, I made a couple Google Sites for you. Now there's a lot more ways that you can use websites in the classroom, and I linked to, under November in the wiki, I linked to this website that has 58 ways to use wikis for a more collaborative and interactive classroom. And I would say wikis or Google Sites. Both are tools on how to make your own website. So all of the information listed here applies to Google Sites as well, even though it says wikis. But there was a long list here of different ways that you could use wikis, websites within the classroom. So if you need more information, I would check that out. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to talk about when we meet is blogging. And so a lot of people use classroom blogs in the classroom. You can just have a classroom blog if you want it to just be you, the teacher, putting information out about what is going on in your classroom. And on that blog, you could include, information about student work, that kind of thing. Or you could have your classroom blog be with everyone in the classroom blogging together in one space. And that's what Kid Blog is. Each student has their own blog, but you're all underneath one classroom. So it's kind of a nice, safe blogging platform to use. So with young students, they can blog and it can help them learn how to read, write, and type. Type short sentences, type short words out. Older students could start writing book reviews in a blog. So you could have all of your students who are reading every week, you could have them blog about the books that they're reading. You could have students do family stories, holiday stories, just a way to get them writing. You could have science fair blogs. So when you're working in the sciences, when they're working on their science fair projects or anything like that, they could blog about how their experiment has been going. There's a lot of different ways that you can use blogging in the classroom. And I link to another website in the wiki that is 33 ways to use blogs in the classroom. So this is a long list of different ways that may or may not work for you. Not every way is going to work for you depending upon the subject area you're in. But I want you to think about your subject area. And when you have students write little reports for you, whatever that report may be, is there a way that that could be transformed into blogging? Is there a way that that could be out there where students see each other's work and what they're writing? So think about what you do in your classroom, and if there's a way you could try to make it more collaborative by having the students showcase their work to each other in a classroom blog. Now, another thing we have to talk about when it comes to having students use these tools online is you want to talk to your students about being good digital citizens. Now, this is a part of an infographic, and again, I link to it in the Mili Wiki under November. But this one just had a lot of interesting statistics. And one of them, the top left-hand corner, said that 49% of teens who are using the internet, they report receiving or viewing hateful, sexist, or racist comments. That's 50%. What we want you to think about doing is talking to your students about how to best behave online, because we want that percentage to go down. These are the students who are online already, are using some of these tools, but are they thinking about the idea that even though they think they may be private online, there's really not that much privacy, even if you sign something anonymously. People still can find your IP address and can track down some information about you. So you want to think about talking to the students in this way, about trying to be a good citizen. And one little graphic that I have seen in the past that I think is a good one to talk to students about is this think graphic. Think, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? So you talk to them, think before you post anything on Facebook. Think before you post anything in a blog. Think before you're texting. So is it true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind? And I've heard people say things to students too, like, would your grandmother be proud of what you posted? So it's just however you want to talk to your students about this. I think it's something good to talk to them about, that they are not as anonymous online as they think they might be. And one website that might help you with some information to talk to your students is Mr. Berkland's webpage. Mr. Berkland, he is actually a teacher up in Becker High School in Minnesota, and I was at a presentation of his where he talked about his digital citizenship class, and all of his content is online, so I did link to this in the Mili Wiki, and you will find on his website a lot of information he goes over when he talks to the students about being good digital citizens. And they go everything. He shows them how you can track IP addresses, and so if you post anonymously, how you're not very anonymous. He goes over how to comment on blogs. He goes over all of the different ways that you represent yourself in public should also be how you do it online. And there's actually a lot of information they go over in this class. And so if you need more resources of how to talk to your students about this, I recommend checking out his class. I actually think adults should take his class because it's really fabulous, going over how the internet works, how easy it is to be connected to other people on the internet, which is a great thing, but how also you want to be a good digital citizen and you want to pay attention to what you're saying online, because it can come back to haunt you. I mean, we do know so often they say employers look at what a person's online presence is. And so you need students to think about that because, unfortunately, their online presence, they've grown up with the internet now. Their online presence can even go back to their parents posting baby pictures of them online. Get into their head somehow that their online presence should be something that they should also take pride in and should be proud of things that they're posting, and it shouldn't be something that they wouldn't want other people to see. So digital citizenship is something I just really want you to think about when you are starting to talk about using tools like this with your students, that it's a good conversation to start having. So when we meet, you will learn about Google Sites and KidBlog, and you're welcome to go check those things out before we meet, but I will show you the basics of both of them, and I will just give you the basics. So there are other things you can learn on your own, and if you learn some advanced things, that will be a great blog post to post, but I will give you the basics on these two tools. And then your assignment for this month is that you will actually create a Google site or a classroom blog and kid blog. You don't have to do both, just one or the other, and you don't have to use it in your classroom immediately, and if you decide never to use it, that's fine, but I want you to create either a Google site or a kid blog so you learn how to create these, and so it gets you thinking about how you potentially could use this in a classroom. And then remember to blog. With you blogging, we need you to blog twice a month, and really your blogging is how we know what you're doing in this program. So don't forget to give us a blog post of what you think about this video, and also just kind of what you think about each month as you're going through using these tools. So that's it for now. I will see you when we meet.